This is Sales Management Mastery, episode 18.
Welcome to Sales Management Mastery, where you get an insider's look on how to build, motivate, coach, and lead a high-performance, low-maintenance sales team. Here's your host, Ralph Burns.
Hello and welcome to Sales Management Mastery Online at salesmanagementmastery.com. And we're here to help you and your sales managers build a team of highly motivated, elite salespeople using easy-to-use real-world sales management techniques that'll unleash a flood of new sales for your sales organization. On this episode of Sales Management Mastery, you'll learn how to motivate salespeople who are largely motivated by praise and encouragement. And we'll teach you the difference between them and a few techniques that you can now employ to maximize the sales performance of this motivational profile. I'd like to remind you that if you'd like to get a jump start on creating your own team of supercharged salespeople using our proven system, you can claim your free training course of your choice, including our most popular training of all time, How to Motivate Your Sales Team to Peak Performance, at the Sales Management Mastery Academy by going to salestraininggift.com. Now, the salesperson who's motivated primarily by praise and encouragement is probably the most prevalent motivational profile that you'll have on your sales team. And I think everyone, to a certain degree, enjoys praise and enjoys encouragement. And I think we all work under an environment of praise and encouragement better than an environment in which we're either ignored, not given any feedback, or there's a tremendous amount of negative feedback and or criticism. So most salespeople that I've found that I've managed or directly led over the years that I was a sales manager, praise and encouragement is always a great motivational technique. Now, there's certain salespeople that they're far more sensitive to this, and this is one of the profiles that we've put together here, that you can really tailor your individual approach based upon how they fill out what we call our motivational questionnaire, which you can get inside the Sales Management Mastery Academy. So for this particular motivational profile of praise and encouragement, we're going to teach you the difference between those two things today, because they're oftentimes used one and the same, praise and encouragement. Then we'll give you a technique or two in which you can employ today in order to motivate this motivational profile even better than you already are. So the first thing about praise is that praise can greatly enhance a salesperson's feelings of self-worth as well as their level of confidence. And praise is a very effective technique because, as maybe you were a salesperson at one time, or maybe you've just become a sales manager, or maybe you're managing a group of sales managers and you were a salesperson and carried the bag at one point in time, your feelings of self-worth when you walk into that office or make that phone call or do the first task of the salesperson or meet somebody on the showroom floor, depending on what type of sales that you were in, the more confident you felt that day, chances are the more effective that you were. And a sales manager can greatly impact this feeling of confidence by using praise and encouragement. And with confidence is also self-worth. And this is what a salesperson feels about themselves. And you, as the sales manager who is motivating them and providing extrinsic motivation to enhance their intrinsic motivations, and in this case, somebody who's very highly motivated by praise and encouragement, you can make them feel better and more confident and boost their self-esteem by using some of these techniques, which we're going to teach you here in just a few seconds. So one of the biggest questions that we always get is, what is the difference between praise and encouragement? Because they're used interchangeably. And for those of you who probably look at them as the same, I want you to think about them in two very different ways. First off, praise it focuses on performance itself and ignores the effort or the motive that goes into it. So the difference here is that you can make a salesperson feel like they're being judged versus others by praising them. But this can also be very helpful because it can promote competition as well. So praise can be used in a lot of different ways, but it definitely casts a judgment or makes a judgment on the salesperson, which is a good thing. But it also, out of the two techniques, praise versus encouragement, we advocate encouragement far more than just straight praise. So another thing about praise is that it's conditional and it's granted in response to a success, and typically it's withheld when there's failure. So, for example, a typical praising might be, and we talk about these in the Sales Management Mastery Academy quite a bit, which we call the masterful praisings, is a praising might be a salesperson hits 110% of quota for the month, and you'll say, you hit 110% of quota last month, that's awesome. So you're praising their success. You're not praising the effort. And I think that's really the biggest difference between praise and encouragement. And they should both be used together, obviously, especially with this motivational profile. But that's really the biggest difference between the two. Another thing about praise is that it teaches the salesperson, perhaps not in the best way, but oftentimes salespeople who are very highly tuned in to praise, or their motivational profile is tied to praise and encouragement, it almost reinforces the salesperson to please their sales manager all the time. This is the salesman that calls you when they have any sort of success. They call you after any little great sales call that they have, or any good interaction. They're typically the ones that are always fishing for praise from you. And they're the ones that you probably get a fair amount of phone calls from these people, or you get a fair amount of emails to give you all this news, even if it's very minor things. So, you have to sort of marry the fact that you want to obviously praise praiseworthy events, but you don't want to overdo it. And you also don't want to teach that salesperson to constantly be pleasing the sales manager in this extrinsic way, that you want them to derive more benefit out of the actual event itself, or the performance itself. And if you can pull that off through encouragement, it's a far more effective motivational technique. So, for example, a salesperson might call you and might say, I had a really good call today, and the guy's just about to sign the contract. I'm going to go back next Tuesday, and he's going to sign it. And you might say something like, I'm really happy with that. That's really excellent work. So you're praising the result, which is they're going back to sign the contract next Tuesday, or whatever the situation happens to be. So that would be praise there. So, like I said, we've all got salespeople that call us constantly to give us updates. Maybe they give you updates on the negative side as well, but they typically do call you and want to tell you these things, which typically means that you're probably pretty good at praising them. So you're self-reinforcing it. So you got to be careful with that, so that they're not constantly seeking your approval for everything. They should seek their own approval, and you do that by balancing a couple of the techniques that we're going to teach you here. So, and lastly, about praise, you can only give it when that person's successful. So, like, for example, if they had that sales call and they got that meeting, and let's say on the following Tuesday they actually did sign the contract, praise would be that you signed the contract, and something like, you did an excellent job on that, and it's tremendous that you got them to sign that contract. And then you typically, if you know that person is very tuned into the bonus plan, you figure it out in your head. You say, hey, that's a $10,000 sale. This is what it would mean to them in dollar terms, and then relate it back to maybe the bonus plan itself. Hey, that's $10,000 sale. That's, let's say the salesperson gets paid